So next up, we have a demo, as I mentioned, and we've talked a lot about reducing climate emissions, and all of this starts with baselining your carbon footprint. Rajat and Phill are going to introduce us to the Zscaler Green Security Modeling Tool and walk us through a sample enterprise's cybersecurity environmental analysis and what the results in pollution reduction savings are. So Phill and Rajat, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much indeed, Kavitha. It's an absolute pleasure to be here amongst such a distinguished panel and a established audience as well. So, changing gears, IT and OT sustainability. I couldn't have done a better job myself of positioning why this is important right now, certainly to the broader society and, by proxy, boardrooms and, investor groups across all different industries. This is a hot topic right now. So before we get into the material, how about a little warm-up poll? I'd be really interested to understand how much of a role or a part does technology play in where you need to go in the next 5 years as an organization, and what kind of percentage you think technology is going to facilitate in achieving those outcomes. And you're all smart people. What I'm kind of trying to tee up here, I'm trying to get to the kind of the root understanding of how much more technology we're going to see, and by I guess you could say proxy, how much more carbon intensive IT operations are going to be as a result. Wow, you guys are the best. You're going to make me look really smart now. So this is what I was hoping for. If I was going to see a couple of 0% or 25%, that would have changed my story drastically. So salute you. Thank you very much. That makes the next part a lot easier to talk about. So from a macro perspective, across all industries, there's a trend towards approximately the 2023 timeframe or horizon, reaching a point of digital supremacy. So this is a really fancy way of saying that as an entire economy in developed nations, more revenue and value is going to be generated exclusively by digital offerings than by traditional heavy industry or mining or manufacturing and production offerings. So that means that technology, in line with the poll results, is going to play a much larger role in all of our business operations, and as a result, it's going to be a much larger percentage or share or tranche of our overall carbon impact as a society. Today, the starting point is already pretty high. So just company data centers alone, we're talking, traditional bricks and mortar data centers here, they consume over 200 terawatt hours per year. To give you some perspective, that's the same as the grid output of Iran every year. So that's already quite a sizable number. And computing alone, not a lot of people know this. I certainly didn't until I did the research. Computing as an entire industry, including the creation and manufacture of consumer computing as well, it's actually on par with the aviation industry. And the aviation industry already gets quite a lot of flack from environmental activists as being a big polluter. They're probably not aware of the impact that computing and IT has, because this is only going to continue. And as a result, I think it's going to fall into focus a lot more squarely. If we assume there isn't a drastic increase in efficiency improvement, computing as an end-to-end industry could potentially account for 20% of all society's carbon emissions by the year 2030. So it's kind of a hockey stick here, where we've broken down by data centers, networks, consumer, and communications, the amount of potential power consumption that's going to drive. A big factor behind this is the blockchain, the compute needed to solve problems and get rewards, aka coin mining, to operate that blockchain, and also new projects which rely on blockchain-based underpinnings. So this is only going to move in one direction, and that direction is towards, regardless of what industry you're in, whether you're in, like I said, production, heavy industry, mining, where traditionally the biggest slice of your power consumption was general business operations, you're going to generate more money from digital. You're going to do more with technology to drive the outcomes your organization wants. and in line with the whole of the direction of society, that means a much bigger chunk of your carbon footprint is going to come from IT. So what the hell does any of this have to do with security? Well, it must necessarily follow that if you're doing more with tech, you're doing more with data, you're connecting more systems and you're connecting to more external entities to get value from that data, you're going to need some more security to go with that. Because as we've already discussed in a little bit of detail, the threat landscape is going one direction towards higher risk. So, going back 5 or 6 years, this is what a big company had to build to go alongside all of those data centers and the networks and the end user compute. It was a big old spider's web of interconnected appliances, load balancers, SSL inspection, proxies, firewalls, DLP servers, sandboxes, et cetera, in order to facilitate that growth in technology. So the security capacity demand went in lockstep with adoption of IT. Okay, that's the bad news. Here's the good news. There are significant efficiencies that we can drive in, and a lot of those come from cloud. Principles of cloud in general adhere to the whole history of human progress, which is if you specialize and you scale, you drive more efficiency. And if we take a look at a white paper that Microsoft commissioned, that articulates that in a very nice, simple infographic. If you take everybody doing their own things, single tenant, single threaded, their own traditional enterprise data center, and you move that into a multi-tenant, hyperscale public cloud, you get a lot of IT operational efficiency. You can also buy the best, most power efficient equipment with the highest processing density for CPUs and memory, etc. And then you can run that in a really fine-tuned, well-operating way. Then you can plug in some waterfalls and some windmills, and you can even drive that down to potentially high 90s in terms of efficiency, just from the principles of public cloud. And a lot of our customers have already been on that journey or completed that journey if they're more advanced around application transformation, moving to public cloud. But what they might necessarily not have done is done that for their security stack. This is where Zscaler comes in. So we adhere to all of those principles of a hyperscale multi-tenant cloud with incredibly high capability density. So we connect people to things, people to applications, and things to things. We're a digital exchange which operates on the principle of no trust. That means that you have to meet a certain condition, certain posture, your identity must be passed before you are afforded the luxury of any kind of network connectivity and communication to the resource that you're asking for. So that means that you don't need all of those boxes daisy chained together in order to provide a secure experience for that additional IT that you're bringing on board to achieve the outcomes that you want. What do we do that's specific and unique? We have, if you've had the pleasure of doing an executive briefing in our San Jose office, and hopefully that will come online again as COVID starts to retreat, you'll see a wall of patents. And many of those patents relate to our ability to perform single scan multi-action. So avoiding all the technical jargon here, it means that packet in, scanned, all capability executed. You don't need to chain multiple different appliances, multiple different together in order to get the outcomes you want from your security stack. So all of those cloud principles are further enhanced and made more efficient by the fact that we scan stuff once and you get the outcomes that you need. So putting all that into perspective, more power, more usage of IT, efficiencies can be achieved with general principles of cloud, and Zscaler adheres to those, as well as offering unique advantages around traffic processing density and capability density. Back to some of the things that Bill was talking about, that is the crux of what we're here today. How do you measure that? How do you then account that against your ESG requirements? Well, that's where I hand over to my esteemed colleague Rajat to give you more detail on that topic.
Hey, thanks, Phil. It's a pleasure to be here. Just to sum up what Phil mentioned, Zscaler's commitment to the environment begins with its operational efficiency, right? It continues with Zscaler Cloud Platform Operations, which enables Zscaler to pass the value of its own environmental efficiency onto its customer. In order to lend a structure to our sustainability efforts and bring all the pieces together, what we have discussed so far, Zscaler has devised an energy reduction model, which comprises of 3 broad pillars: platform efficiency, facility efficiency, and last but not the least, logistics and operational efficiency. Now let's discuss these three pillars in more details. The platform efficiency pillar captures the reduction in energy consumption due to lower power and cooling needs enabled by Zscaler. Now, what we have seen the different customers and prospects, there's legacy hub and spoke architecture, having multiple data centers and a number of security appliances. But these appliances need a lot of power and cooling, as you know, JP was mentioning, on an ongoing basis. As Zscaler can remove the legacy security stack altogether and combine with the fact that we have the highest processing density for multi-tenancy activities, we enable a lot of reduction in the power and cooling requirements. And that's what we capture in this pillar. Talking about facility efficiency, the traditional data centers, which host the appliances, operate at a much higher power usage effectiveness, PUE, which essentially means the facility has to pump in higher energy in order to make the appliances work. Zscaler data centers are much more modern, hyperscale data centers, which operate at a much lower PUE and are less wasteful in terms of energy consumption. And that's what we typically capture in this pillar. Logistics and operational efficiency covers end-to-end useful life cycle of the appliances, right from the procurement to the maintenance of appliances, and finally, responsible recycling and disposal. Now, the procurement life cycle involves packaging, using polystyrene fillers and all that stuff, and shipping the appliances by various means. But with Zscaler, there is no globe-wide shipping and packaging required. On the maintenance side of things, there's no need to service the appliances through regular on-site visits, which you traditionally see in the remote data centers. All that stuff goes away with Zscaler. And finally, Zscaler follows responsible recycling and disposal principles, which can potentially contribute to reduce the environmental hazards. Now, in an endeavor to put life into Zscaler's energy principles, we have done multiple case studies, and one of them highlighted here was done with a huge energy utility company with a global presence. Net, we were able to, approximately reduce 75% energy consumption, and the megajoule reduction equated to, 3.7K pounds of coal burn, so many, barrels of oil consumed, so on and so forth. The positive impact which we were able to make on the environment was huge. Now, just a brief on how we went about calculating this. This customer had the legacy architecture, and we were able to displace over 90% of the appliances. When we compared the energy usage of the legacy appliances, we were able to reduce more than 70% energy consumption out there. Phill, you might need to go back to the previous slide. On the facility efficiency side, the customers' larger DCs were operating at 1.7 PUE and smaller ones at 1.9 PUE. Now, these are not efficient DCs we are talking about, right? With Zscaler, we have much more efficient data centers. And we were able to give back a lot of, megajoules there. On the logistics and operational efficiency side, we enabled a lot of, saving in shipping, maintenance, and all that stuff. The carbon footprint, which we were able to reduce, was tremendous. Now, moving on to the next slide, how did we do it? We have developed a lot of tools and templates to capture the impact. You just saw. If you see the top two screenshots, we have developed our own indigenously built calculators, which capture all these three pillars. We kind of collaborate with the customer, figure out, how many appliances we can take out, what their PUEs are and all that stuff. And we fill that into these, Excel-based calculators and ascertain the benefit which we can provide to the customer. Also, if you look at the bottom two screenshots, we have developed real-time reporting of the energy consumption by Zscaler Cloud, including the energy procured from renewable sources. All these tools put together help us figure out the benefit we can deliver to the customers and prospects on the environmental front. Moving on to the next slide. So, what's the way ahead? We are looking to do more of these case studies, surely, and also we We shall continue to make Zscaler DCs more efficient. And our target is to enhance the procurement from renewable sources of energy to more than 95% in the near future. We shall soon be launching a white paper on Zscaler's sustainability efforts. Now, that's all I wanted to cover, and I will like to give it back to Kavita to close this session.
Thank you, Rajat and Phill. I think that was extremely informative. So we're coming to the close of our session, and I wanted to obviously thank JP, Les, and Bill for sharing your perspectives and setting the context and the background for the discussion today, and for Rajat and Phill for bringing it home by showing us kind of real practical and empirical ways for us to put this into action. I also want to thank all of you who have been with us for the last hour attending the session. Now, if you've missed any part of the episode or would like to rewatch it, please visit cxosummit.zscaler.com, and we will be posting the recording soon on the site. We also invite you to continue the conversation by joining your IT leadership peers in the private Zscaler CXO community that we've created on LinkedIn for you, where you can engage with your like-minded peer innovators and share your secure digital transformation best practices. And in concluding the session today, I would love to invite you all to visit the new CXO Revolutionaries website at revolutionaries.zscaler.com for a robust set of actionable best practices and insights from all your fellow CXO practitioners and leaders. And from all of us here at Zscaler, do take care, stay safe and healthy, and we will see you on July 21st for episode 3, where we'll discuss productivity, efficiency, and speed, and why digital experience matters. Until then, bye everyone.